Hey Master Gardeners, it's been a day where the ground's thawed, so I took opportunity to do some edging of my beds. You know, as long as that ground is thawed, you can get out here and work. And so I not only did that, but I even divided one of my perennials, which I'll show you. But edging my bed, a lot of times I enlarge it by sometimes as much as 10 or 12 inches each time. And in an effort to save my soil, I usually have a hand trowel with me, and I just knock the back of the soil off, knock it off as best I can, and recycle. You see, I have a wheelbarrow can here full of all the remnant pieces that I just put on an outdoor rubbish pile where it actually ends up recycling. But I did my whole bed. I actually enlarged this a little bit to reduce my lawn a little. And then I divided a plant called a Geum. So come on over here and take a look at this. This is a sun-loving perennial, sometimes a perennial that's for partial shade. It's called Geum, and look how pretty the evergreen foliage is right now. It's pretty spectacular. And I've been dividing them because I just planted them last spring. My neighbor gave them to me. This happens to be the cultivar Totally Tangerine. Here's the color of it. Let me show you that. Here's the color. They have wiry stems. It's in the Rosaceae family. It's a really kind of a pretty little flower. Starts in spring, goes on into summer. As you can see, the traditional rose style flower, Totally Tangerine. She's got it for cut flowers. She shared some of them with me. But what I'm so impressed with is how evergreen this little rascal is. Look at the nice looking foliage on it for this time of the year. And even though I just planted it last spring, it's not an easy one to divide, but I still took my shovel. And I typically divide things from the top down, but on this one, I don't do that. Here's another lump that I'm gonna divide. I was taking my shovel up into it from the bottom and kind of wedging it in that way to divide. A little bit different process than I typically use. Some of it I have to discard, but see, I still have a nice crown with lots of pieces in it. And then I have this piece too. The challenges that you deal with in dividing perennials at this time of the year is I plant them a little bit deeper because there's gonna be some heaving in the soil, up and down. So let me show you, I'll walk you over here to a bed where I did some other ones. Let me walk you over here. I'll show you where I stuck them in the ground kind of deep. There's my yucca. This is a little viburnum shrub. But here they are. These pieces I divided. Look at that pretty evergreen foliage. It's actually semi-evergreen. They say if it's south of zone 7, it doesn't perform very well in the weather as much. So here we are in zone 7 north. It performs pretty well, so I'm impressed. I haven't been ultimately jumping up and down about the flowers on them, but I do think the foliage is worth noting. You can use this plant in a rock garden or in a, and I think that would probably be the best because the flowers are kind of small, or in a perennial bed along the border area. But you could, as dense as these are, I feel like it could be used as a ground cover. So that's what I'm starting down here. I have a little magnolia that's been knocked over by the deer, and I'm going to start a little bed of them here down at the end. But that's my plan. Geum, little Geum hybrida is the name. So partial sun or full shade, not full shade, full sun or partial shade, either way it'll go. But it's pretty cool. Zone 5 it's listed as, and just this one happens to be a hybrid. So there are native Geums, but this one does not happen to be one of those. It happens to be one of the hybrids. So there you go. That's what I've been up to today. Here we are in the early parts of January in Maryland.